One of my more anticipated shows of the season just so happened to come out a month after everything that started. Originally, I was unsure of why the great Jahi would not be defeated would be coming out so late, and my assumption was a different episode count, and it's been confirmed that it's going to be 20 episodes, so it kind of makes sense as it's going to be airing for 5 months rather than the traditional 6 that most 2-cours do. And this was, without a doubt, a very, very pleasant surprise. I walked in with the expectations that were set from just the internet buzzing around this show. If you enjoy The Devil's a Part-Timer, you're probably going to get a kick out of this one. And I have to say, that's one of the best recommendations you can give a show like this. Someone who used to be powerful in a Demon Lord-like setting, stripped away of that power, thrown on Earth. But rather than working at a McDonald's that just so happens to be renamed so there's no copyright infringement, you have someone who's basically a waitress, but the catch for this one that really sold me was the landlady kind of dynamic that she has going on. She is someone who lost most of her crystals, and these crystals are pretty much the source of her power. She has one, so she can temporarily go into her adult powerful form, to which she uses that to be a waitress. But it only lasts a short time, so she's tasked with trying to get all these crystals back so she can go back to being a total boss. But for the most part, she's getting walked over by either her manager, who's sweet as honey, she is always there for her. When she sees that she can transform, she just thinks she's adorable. To then you have the landlady, who's kind of painted as this aggressive villain, but all she's doing is trying to collect rent, but Jahi doesn't want to give her her money because 1, she thinks her apartment's a piece of shit, and 2, that's how she's gonna buy her food. And the dynamics and the outlandish behavior of watching 20 minutes of this girl proclaim herself as this powerful being, as she simultaneously can be this cute and adorable kid-like design, to them being this powerful menace, and no matter who she's interacting with, whether it's the feisty temper of the landlady, to the very calm big sister, mother, nurture sort of role of the manager, this show is quality. I mean, you kick off the episode immediately with the opening. Once again, I think this opening, if I was to compare it to any opening of the season, I think it's on par with the quality both visually as well as the song-wise as the new Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid opening. That shit was amazing, the ending song just as adorable and very poppy and catchy. But just watching the story take place of someone who is so infatuated by finding these crystals, but then she has this tendency to be so clueless and dim-witted that after she accidentally transforms at her work, she loses her crystal. And as she's building up to trying to find it, and she realizes that the manager has been wearing it, and she's talking like, oh, if a human touches this for too long, like volcanoes could erupt, the world could end. And they're going on about what bad thing might have happened as she wore it for a day. My shoulders hurt, my split ends. Oh, my back was hurting, like maybe that's why. And she's slapping her boobs being like, no, it's these hunks of fat. Like, she has no chill. And I love how, in a situation that should be pretty catastrophic, she then ends up getting scolded, being like, if this is important to you, you should be wearing it. And it's just like, the comedy just kind of writes itself. There's 2 settings we witnessed in this episode, her apartment and the workplace. And I guess maybe the general market that she was running away from before you get this horrifying image of her realizing the landlady's coming a-barging. And the fact that she hasn't really paid her rent up until this point, and the fact that she always made excuses or ran away, there's just something very charming about that. And I thought maybe, just for whatever reason, it was just like episode 1, they didn't decide to give us names. Nope, apparently it's just manager, boss, landlady. That's what like my anime list has them listed as, and I think there's a charm about that. Not giving them like official names, but just having like their titles, because given how she thinks she can walk all over humans half the time, or maybe even 75% of the time she's in this child form, it's just absolutely hilarious. I'm really glad this is going to be a 2-cour because this show is way too fun, if episode 1 is to go off of, to have it just be 10 to 12 episodes. This show has been massively hyped up, I think, since like the beginning of this year. That's when I think I started seeing the buzz around this show. And I think it's interesting the way the character design works for Jahi in terms of her 2 forms. Her main form is this very sexual, deviant, powerful, almost like devil-like goddess, as she just feels like she has the authority. Where her normal form that's kind of weak and she can't do much is this like innocent child form. And rather than like sexualizing the lolly form, she just literally wears a baggy ass shirt, where her adult form, her like more busty form, that's where like all the dominant energy comes from. It's probably one of the best marketing choices you could probably do. You can like have that lolly comedy type stuff with her one form to then having like the badass sexy form with the other. It's just so good. And honestly, if I was to pick a favorite character right now, I kind of like the manager a lot. Now, it may just be me. I don't think personality-wise it's the same, but Chika from Kaguya-sama, there's something about the character design for both of them that it just kind of gives me a similar presence sometimes, and it was just really good to see what was going on. I mean, they immediately kick you off into like what she's been doing as you're seeing her like wait tables and stuff, and the fact that everyone's like, Missy, 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 and just to see how angry she gets over the course of it, it's really interesting. And I mean, it's just going to be fun, I think, to see like what she's going to do, because obviously her main objective is to collect the crystals. And you know, if she can forget to like wear her crystal that gives her power in episode 1, you know she's gonna neglect that task more times than not. But I'm curious to see like what her life will be like with obviously the two probably very relevant, maybe even consider the main characters between Landlady as well as the boss, versus the other side characters that she'll be interacting with, and just the comedy that's gonna partake. Because I assume eventually she'll start like buying things for her apartment. She'll say, you know what, I got this massive paycheck here, I'm gonna buy these comfy living arrangements. Landlady's gonna come in being pissed and probably trying to take her furniture as rent. And it's interesting that apparently these two are sisters, because I was like, how the hell did this girl get an apartment if she's not paying her landlord? And she just talks to her like that. And then when you see how the boss of her is pretty much very like, she treats her like a little sister, her own daughter, it's totally understandable. It's just very nice. I just think this is going to be a show that is going to charm a lot of people, more so than maybe many people expected, because there's probably going to be a good chunk of people who weren't even looking at this show, were saying, oh, we're already a month into the season, we're a third done this season, why would I check out something new now? And they're probably going to be pretty blown away by the quality of the comedy and how it's just non-stop. And I love that there's actually a narrator who will pop up every so often and just do like a Kaguya-sama approach in terms of narrating the hilarious things that are popping up on screen. I mean, there's been plenty of big shows that have come out this year that have had quite a bit of buzz around it, and looking at it from a distance, it just didn't seem like it's my cup of tea. And I'm sure this show will be no exception for different people as well. But I really think, like, if you enjoy the idea of powerful demon-like entities going to Earth thinking that they're still big shots but really aren't as they adjust to normal lifestyle, like something like A Devil is a Part-Timer, you're gonna love this show, and vice versa if you love this show but haven't seen Devil is a Part-Timer, right? And maybe there'll be people who weren't a fan of Devil is a Part-Timer but love this, right? I just think it's a really good comparison that was pretty much the selling point for me going into it, so hopefully it'll be a selling point for maybe many other people who weren't going to check it out and be like, oh shit, I had no idea it was going to be a charming show like that. And honestly, its comedy stands on its own two legs. It's definitely The Great Jahy Will Not Be Defeated. It's its own show with its own charm, but the similarities that it gives me to a series that I already love, it's similarities I'm glad to see for sure. Let me know your thoughts and feelings, and definitely who your favorite character is so far, your favorite joke. Let me know down below. Leave a like if you enjoyed and subscribe if you're new around here. So until next time, everyone, please take care and have a good one.